Okay, so there's two main parts to integrated insight. The synthesis of insights, which we'll look at first, and then there's the heightened understanding of what it means to live well that this synthesis provides. So the synthesis. The Oxford philosopher Alfred Ayer once wrote that what uniquely distinguishes the philosopher is that he is concerned with the reality as a whole, and that what is required of the philosopher is not that he should merely assemble the scientific theories of his time, but that he should integrate them into a world picture. Now, who but a philosopher is going to provide that integrated world picture? Scientists are very good at examining specific parts of the world and finding out what they're like, the structure of a particular protein molecule, for example, or the way that gravity might work within a black hole. But that just makes us familiar with what the pieces of the world are like. It doesn't give us a coherent and meaningful overall picture. The arts are better at synthesis. They do create wholes, but what they can't do is draw upon scientific insights in a systematic way. That's not what the job of a novelist or a poet or a filmmaker is all about. Their responsibility is to make the best art possible. So it's left to the philosopher to put all the pieces together, and that's just what integrated insight does. The first part of the synthesis draws from science. Science has arguably made more progress since the beginning of the 20th century than all its progress before then put together. Physics has changed our view of the universe, with Einstein's theories of relativity and then quantum physics, and then the discoveries of the expanding universe and the Big Bang. The life sciences have given us an understanding of how life works at a molecular level, of how cells divide, of how living systems maintain low entropy, and it has given us an ecological perspective on life. And then there's information theory, there's game theory, neuropsychology, developmental psychology, insights from all over. And though the world they show us is not the one that philosophers of previous centuries thought they were living in, when we put all the pictures from all the sciences together, through finding the underlying simplicity and the common ground, we end up with an impressively coherent view of the world that we live in. I'd love to go into more detail, but there's not time to do this justice, so I'll cover this all in another video or series of videos soon. Side by side with this emerging worldview, and just as important philosophically, is an area of understanding that Western philosophy is traditionally very bad at, but which some Asian traditions, particularly those with a Buddhist influence and which value practice as well as being scholarly, know very well: the relationship between idea and reality. The main point here is that ideas are different in kind from the stuff of reality. For us to think in ideas have to be the sort of entities that can be processed and manipulated by the mind. We have to think in units that are distinct and that have boundaries, but the stuff of reality doesn't have to be this way. I've not got time to go into the nitty-gritty here, so for now you'll just have to take my word that getting some clarity about the relationship between ideas and reality helps us escape a lot of confusion and misunderstanding. When these two bundles of insight are brought together and applied to the traditional territory of Western philosophy, we end up with a philosophical revolution. The whole subject is turned inside out, or more accurately, turned outside out, for everything is put in its proper place in a philosophical Copernican revolution. Technically, what this revolution does is to dissolve all the problems of Western philosophy. Again, I'm afraid I'll have to leave it for a later video to explain what that means. But non-technically, what the revolution does is to shift philosophy from being a process of theory building and endless cleverness to being a vehicle for helping people see things as they are. Ultimately, integrated insight directs our attention away from the territory of philosophy and back at the stuff of the world. But the philosophy lingers with us, for it helps us see things from a proper perspective and with enhanced precision. The second half of the project is what you could call living well. It is using the synthesis as a foundation for clarity, for acting better in daily life, for flourishing, and as an intellectual foundation for new approaches to disciplines such as economics and politics. What integrated insight suggests is that to live well is to live artfully, to approach life in the way that artists approach their work. Your medium can be anything: the art of raising a family, the art of running an office, or taking care of people, or engineering. Whatever it is that you, being who you are, and the world being what it is most appropriate for you to be doing. But as you do whatever it is that you are doing, you should be clear in your mind. Your actions should embody an intelligence that goes beyond the rational. You follow a flow of potentiality, and as you do, you discover original solutions to the challenges in front of you. And all the time, as you are flowing in this way, you are free, ultimately and profoundly free. Alongside this vision of artful living, integrated insight makes a contribution to our living well through providing new and more solid foundations for some of the intellectual disciplines that are still using the 18th century philosophical foundations of the Enlightenment period. The discipline that's crying out loudest for a new approach is economics, for contemporary economics patently is not doing what we need it to do, and also its whole edifice rests on certain unexamined assumptions that don't hold up well to scrutiny. There are some big challenges ahead for us as a global community this century, from running stable economies to limiting climate change to providing prosperity for everyone everywhere. Integrated insight suggests how we might go about building an alternative discipline. And it similarly provides foundations for some new approaches to politics, applied ethics, leadership studies, many areas where current thinking is floundering. So, to recap, integrative insight uses an innovative methodology to create a synthesis, rather than the endless analyses that, apart from a few notable exceptions, 20th century philosophers devoted themselves to. On the one hand, we have the emerging worldview of contemporary science, and on the other, we have a clear understanding of the relationship between idea and reality. Together, they give us a new clarity which leads to a philosophical revolution. Our view of philosophy and even of reality itself then changes radically. And this leads us to a vision of life where to live well is to live artfully. And it also leads to a new set of foundations for disciplines such as economics and politics. That's it. I'll drill down to a greater level of detail in subsequent videos. And though I know that some of what I've said just now has been a bit vague or obscure, I hope to be able to explain everything in clear, non-technical language so that it'll be easy for you all to understand. Please leave comments and suggestions. This is my first ever YouTube video and I'd really appreciate hearing from you. Thanks for watching. Bye now.